If you want full control of your Cryptomats, just keep watching and I'll show you how. All right, so here we are in Houdini and we have the noise sampler scene, and that you can just type in test and grab the scene there. And all I did was add a Karma render settings node, the setup, pretty much Karma setup. It drops down the Karma settings and the ROP. And what I want to do here is basically add in our AOVs so we can start looking at them. So if we go to image output, AOVs, and then go all the way to the bottom where it says extra render vars, we're going to go ahead and add 2. And the 2 presets we have for Cryptomats is Crypto Object and Crypto Material. Now to take a look at them, we go in here where it says viewing output and click on Crypto Object. And this is what we see. These are the presets. Go to Crypto Material. That's what we got there. But what if we wanted to go a little bit further? All right, so let's move that setup. And what if we wanted to move further and work with instances? Well, now if we take a look, you can see that the instance only has 1 material, so that's not really useful for us. And if we take a look at the object, well, it's all contained into 1 object, so that doesn't help us. So how do we go a little bit further into customizing these crypto objects or layers or AOVs so that we have a little bit more granular control on what we want to display as Cryptomats? The way we're going to do that is by changing the source name for every one of these. And we'll just focus on one. So we'll delete one of them and we'll type in custom. That's going to be our custom one, right? And right now it's displaying this because this is what I got here. And what we did here is just add a grid. We added scatter, and inside here, I put position into turbulent noise. That turbulent noise is going to CD as color. And then we're doing noise as an attribute to be able to use. So if we display the color, that's what we're going to see here. Let's turn this off for a second. There's no geometry here right now. This is just the points. And the way we can do this is, I'll show you right now. Let's delete this. So we'll drop in a wrangle. And what do we want to name this attribute for our Cryptomat? So we'll just put T noise, right? And what I'll do here is I'll put I at T noise is equal to at PT num. And what this is going to do here is it's going to create, you see T noise, it created all these numbers here based off of the PT num attribute. So if I go back and if I go into the custom path, I put T noise. And if I look through that custom crypto, now every single point is an actual Cryptomat that we can select and be able to be very granular with our selection. So how can I make this work with the attribute we created with the attribute VOP? So I created the noise attribute. Right now we're just getting the point number. So we'll just type in at noise and let's take a look real quick. And now we could see that that is being detected there. And that's the way it's kind of determining whether it's going to select certain things. Once they reach like closer to a whole number, it'll be colored a different color. But one thing we could do to like kind of fix that a little bit is, let's go back real quick, pin this so we can see the effect. And if you put an I in front of the at noise, we get a little bit more of that variation. So if I were to go and change the frequency, you can see that that's working right away. You can see like right now the amplitude is what causes all of these to go into 0. And now nothing is selected, right? So if I put 2, now we could see, okay, there's a little bit more going on. And if we put 5, a little bit more, 12, all right. So the more we add, the more Cryptomats we start to get. Okay, so that's how we can do that with the attributes. And so what if we wanted to do this for particles? Well, particles is the same thing, except what's important with particles is that we don't want to use ptnum. We want to use the ID. And we have that here. Let's turn this off. And right here, I have, what do I have here? I have ID selected. So select ID, and that's very unique. So then if new particles get emitted, that particle won't start back on 0. So if we use point numbers, so if we use ptnum, what's going to happen is when one dies or when one gets emitted, it'll pretty much bounce back. And we don't want that, especially with cryptomats when we're selecting them. We don't want our mats to be jumping. So that's why we want to use ID. And if we go here, and I created one already. So I put crypto particle. I can copy that and paste that in here. Crypto particle. Let's make sure we're displaying that. And now we can see that those are particles there. And now if more get emitted, and once we have it rendered and we select something, it's always going to be selecting that particular particle. It's not going to bounce off next time something gets emitted or birthed in. Okay, so what if we wanted to kind of get even more control? What if we wanted to get a group of these objects? It's just simple as any other time that you create groups. So here we have this group. We just named it group, very simple. And then inside here, group sphere, I put add ID. All right, so this is add ID and this is add ID. So if I want to have two different ones, so I want one for the regular particles and I want one for the grouped selection that I have. So I'll just copy this here. We have that selected, that group we created. We have that selected on this wrangle. Group sphere, and then this is the, all right, so if we go back, so instead of looking at this, we're going to create a new, so here we'll create a new cryptomat. Just go object, and we'll type in cryptosphere, and in here in the source name, we'll paste in the group sphere. Now, if we take a look at that, you're going to see that that's what we see here. Right now, there's an issue with, I think it might be with my graphics card. So let's change this to CPU, and that's kind of working there. Let's turn off the camera. So that's what our group is going to look like. All right, so those are really good ways that you can use custom cryptomats in order to be able to create these AOVs and have full control over them. Now, what if we didn't want like so much data being rendered out? Because each one of these crypto passes can be heavy. Each one of these need to carry that data that we can select that mat. But what if we just want to create regular mats? Well, if we just turn off crypto material, we'll get that going there. And if we go into the custom crypto, if we turn that off, it's going to be white. It's not really helpful for us. It's more helpful when we're doing things like the T noise here. So let's do T noise. Let's change this to T noise. Let's make sure we're being displayed there. All right, T noise, T noise, T noise, not TS noise. There you go. So we have that there. And if we turn off Cryptomat, we get that as well there. But this is not really working for us because we're not getting any gradients similar to how we have it in our beauty pass here. So this is happening because we have this is looking this way. So let's say if I wanted to render this pass, but not necessarily was that ever set up here inside of our color. It was actually a noise here. We can go and change this instead of being the eye here. We'll remove it back. So then that way it's back to float. So instead of eye here as well, we'll do that. So just gotta make sure that when it's regular mats, we're not doing integers. We're just removing the eye here. So we'll remove the eye. So we'll type in, we'll do another one. We'll do, okay, so at mask is equal to noise. So this is mask noise. So if we go back and render our mask, Let's go in here. And it's doing this because the camera. Let's go and just fix that. All right, so we don't got that flag anymore. And let's take a look at mask. And now you can see mask is properly set up. The moment we have an eye in front of it, it kind of messes things up for us. So when we're doing black and white, we don't want to do the integer. We just remove it. We could fully tweak now what these points are going to look like when we render them. How can we use this to be able to create shaders out of it? And the simple way to do that is we'll just drop in a material library. We'll get unassign, not this one, assign material. And we can drop in our instance. And in here, we're going to create a USD material builder. And in here, we can select our material. All right, so when we dive inside here, now the magic node that's going to bring in these attributes, it's called geometry property value. And now if we go to color, this is what that looks like. And let's change this to like a black. Let's add some blurriness there. And what if we wanted to emit these? So we can use that attribute that we created. Was it T noise or what did we change it to? Let's go back real quick and double check what we had. So in here we had noise. Okay, so that's the one we're going to use. Dive inside here and we'll put noise and go into emission and drop that in there. Perfect. So now we could see that our materials are being correctly rendered. And it might not look like it, but it is. Because you could see, for example, if we were not to connect this to emission and put this into transmission, it's kind of hard to tell. Let's do something else. Let's do a ramp, a color ramp, and put it into base color. And now we can see that's the base color. And if we wanted to change that, we could put like a, different color right there. And we could pipe this into emission and change the emission color to something else. How about this? How about if we want to instead just make the edges of this brighter? So we can go back into our attribute VOP here. We'll duplicate that. And instead of noise, we'll put edge. And if I go back in here, actually, let's go in here and put in a ramp. And now if I go back, okay, so yeah, I had to fix a few things here. The numbers were just kind of going into the negatives here in attenuation. So attenuation, just leave it to 1. And then here I can just bring that in. And this one here, let's display it. Let's see what's happening here. So this is edge, right? Yeah, this is the edge. So if we add another point here, let's flip it. And this looks more like it would be the edge, right? And if we go in here, something like that. Okay, so if we go back into the shader, now we can go and check things out. Let's turn this off here to make sure we're on color. And we have noise, edge, perfect. Let's make this float like I said before. And now we could see that we have our edge being emitted. And we can go in here and change the color. Something like that. And we can go and use transmission. So this is our noise. It's weird that it's working with float and not in the color. I'm not really sure why this one is working this way. But anyways, this is what it's doing pretty much with color. So I'll have to figure that out. But anyways, so I figured out what it was and what it was. Now color is working, and what you got to do is instead I didn't have not this one. The moment you don't have a ramp connected to it, the values kind of go away. So just pipe in a ramp and then you can get the values that you want out of it. So let's bring in that one and let's add maybe a color. And if I go into ramp, I'm assuming it's going to work. Let's just see what happens. So yeah, that's kind of working how it should. All right, not very fancy, nothing crazy. And then we can pipe that into transmission and we can get them to be like glass. Let's just add a light so everything looks a little bit better. Just a tiny bit better. And let's make these points smaller. So yeah, I'm not really digging the transmission. And I guess we could do another light. Area light. Okay. Let's add a grid. So it's sitting on something. But yeah, this is not like really the fanciest of any renders or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to show you how you can use these attributes when you're using Cryptomats. All right, so this is an older version, but I could show you. I used all the same techniques to be able to do that. And I have right here, this middle one here, I'm using like a pyro source spread. This is a attribute VOP here. And there's other ways. So if we take a look at our renders here and we take a look at the passes that we're outputting, I have crypto IDs. Let me fix something here. I gotta turn this on right here. So crypto IDs gives us the entire points and everything. And in the ground, in order to get the ground in, I put in a crypto ID and I just put in a number. You could also put a name if you want. And that's why I get this colored here. So if I turn this off, if I turn this layer, you can see it's black. So I just turned it on. And same thing, I got some particles, I got instances, stuff that we already went over. I got the object pass there for the crypto. I got a group. So I got a group here for the middle and some around here. And then we got some for the particles alone. We got some for what I called blink, which is the attribute VOP, and then the pyrosource spread, which is that spreading apart. And, to get that ring, I already showed you kind of how you can do that. So yeah, this is pretty much it. What I wanted to go over when it comes to taking full control of your Cryptomats and your mats in general to create black and white mats for any overall effects or to actually drive shader properties. All right, guys, so this is pretty much it for the video, and I hope you guys found it useful. And if you're wondering how you can get access to this file, I'm going to have it in my Gumroad page, so make sure to pick it up, and I'll see you guys on the next video.